Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life and your business, your health, fitness, mindset and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And today I'm going to talk to you about precision coaching. This is one of the things that I do, and it is also one of the things that I have. It's what I receive. I look for that from my coaches, precision coaching. So something that is going to give me a very specific result based on the criteria that I provide my coaches as to the outcomes that I want to achieve. So today I'm going to give you a great example of what that looks like and what coaching I get from my strength and conditioning coach. Before I go through the details of the feedback that he's given me just yesterday, actually, I want to tell you what it is that I'm looking for from my coach. Anyone can sign up for coaching, any type of coaching, but unless you're absolutely crystal clear about what it is that you want to achieve from that coaching before you seek out that coach, then you could be just investing money in something that you don't fully take up the benefits from. So for me personally, for a number of years, if you're a long-term listener, you would have heard me talk about some of this previously, but just to catch you up, for many years I've been looking for the right strength and conditioning coach. And back prior to the days of us being more used to working with people anywhere in the world via Zoom and via the technology, I was looking for somebody in my area that could work with me to be able to maybe come through some strength sessions with me, maybe to work one-on-one with my nutrition, etc., etc. And I was unable to find anybody that was better than me and doing what I wanted to do in the way that I wanted to do it. So not some crazy, outlandish, freakish kind of diet, but somebody that would work with me with the way that I eat, and because it works very well for me. But working with somebody that's done things that I haven't done before. So like getting that really defined six-pack and just getting that accountability and that extra layer of knowledge across what it is that I'm doing for myself. Because even though I work with people to get them in the shape of their life, I'm talking about that next level, like competition, standing on stage in the best shape of your life type competition. And that's not the type of client that comes to me. I'm looking to get people, if you like, from to looking in super top condition, average Joe. Okay? So not to put them on stage. If they wanted to go to that next level, then I would refer them on to probably the strength and conditioning coach that I use. So I was very clear. I've been using him and his partner, who's a Miss Olympia, two-time winner Miss Olympia, working with them for I first engaged with them over 8 years, probably 9 years ago now, but I've taken them on as my personal strength and conditioning coach in the last, I'm going to say, 15 months or so now. And so my objective last year was to get that six-pack, get in the best shape of my life, become an IsaBody finalist as part of the Isagenix IsaBody Challenge. Now, I didn't make it as a finalist, but I've made it to get an honourable mention, which is a step down from that. But this year, I set myself up with, okay, I want to put on 4 kilos of muscle this year, and spoke to my coach and said, look, is that realistic for me? What do you think given my age and some previous limitations I've had with my shoulders and everything due to operations? And he said, yeah, look, with the type of programming and some creatine cycling and that kind of stuff, he said, well, you might be able to even get a little bit more than that over the course of this year. So that was my goal. And I said to him, this is what I want to achieve. I want to achieve that 4 kilos. I want to be in the best shape of my life. I want to be able to add muscle to, and I described it where it was. And imagine a skeleton, if you like, and you've got Play-Doh, and where you're going to put that Play-Doh or clay onto that body. And I said, I want to grow my shoulders. My legs are my best feature, and they're a little bit out of proportion to the rest of my body. So I said, I want to grow my shoulders, I want to grow my chest, I want to grow my biceps, my triceps, get more definition, grow my abdominal muscles, but also get the cuts within that six pack deeper. And I explained the reasons why I wanted to achieve that. And in summary, it's because I've always put everybody else ahead of myself. I've never fully invested in my body and the look that I absolutely want. I've always come up a little bit short and said, well, I'm not going to achieve that because I'm too busy. I've got the commitments with the kids, the commitments with the business, etc., etc. I don't have the time to be able to diet and do all those things to that next level. Because in my head, I thought I need to do that on an extreme level. I need to be absolutely obsessed with the things that, my training, I need to train a lot harder, etc., etc. But what I've subsequently realized is that, well, you can do it a lot smarter than that rather than just working harder. So I then came to the decision that, do you know what? I'm in a great place in my life right now. I want to invest in me now. So I want to get the best shape of my life, even though I was, like last year, I was 52 years old or 51 at the time of engaging them. I said, I want to get in the best shape of my life. I don't care about my age. I don't care what a number may imply about what you can and what you can't do, but I want to get in the best shape of my life. I want to feel energized. I don't want to have any limitations on what it is that I do. I want to be stronger. I want to be a positive role model for my children. I want to be a great role model for my clients. I want to be a great role model for men. I want to be a great role model for those people that think that age is going to stop them from achieving what it is that they want to achieve. Because I work with some 30-year-old people, 35 years old, and they say that they're starting to get old and they know that they can't achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve now. I said, are you serious? I said, look, I'm in my 50s and I'm still getting better every single year because I've made the decision that I want to get better every year. And the other decision I made was I want to be in the top 1% of health for my age. I want to be the best version of myself at any age that I am. This year I turned 53. I want to be the best 53-year-old person that I can be. The strongest, the leanest, the sexiest looking, the best body, the most energized, the most focused, the best health. Okay? So with all of that in mind, I engage my coach. And what I do with him is I break my year up into 12-week blocks. And I've done this in conjunction with my coach because up to this point, before engaging him, I would be very focused, but my training was not as structured as it could be. So I'd go through phases through the year where I'd say, okay, well, I'm at this time of the year, I'm going to do this type of training. Oh, it's time to change up the exercises, I'll do this. When I started working with my coach and we started working through what are the limitations of with my injuries and how do we build a muscle even though I can't do certain lifts anymore. So an example is I'm in my studio right now and I'm looking at the deadlift bar. I don't do heavy deadlifts anymore, mainly because the strain on my shoulders is unnecessary. The strain on my lower back is also unnecessary. So I don't need to be able to lift those heavy weights during those movements to be able to still build muscle. So it's about knowing the limitations, working with your coach and experimenting for a bit of time to work out what's going to work for you. And we've gone through and done that. And I'm going to read you the feedback in a moment. But that's the other benefit of a coach. The structure, we work in 12-week blocks now. Essentially three 12-week blocks for the year because it's essentially a 36-week period up to my final photo shoot as I, again, aim to become an IsaBody finalist this year. So I'm very focused on that. So right now I'm in my Tuesday next week, it's Sunday today. Tuesday next week I move into 8 week of my second 12-week training block. Okay? And what that does is it creates a lot of focus because really I'm working in 4 to 6 week blocks within that 12 weeks and working with my coach as to exactly what it is that I'm going to be doing within those time frames. I just work out 3 times a week. I work on, if I just explain it this way, I do some pressing movements to work on my upper body. I do some pulling movements to work on my back. I do some legs, which I've just done today. Absolutely killed me on the other day. That's it. The other days I just do a little bit of walking, but not much. I don't do high intensity training, anything like that. So that's the approach that I've taken all year round. Now, what I also do is I keep a nutrition journal. It's what I get my clients to do. It's what I do. So you've got to practice what you preach. I do it for, and I'm sure I do it better than all my clients do because I do it most of the year round. I track every single meal that I'm eating, the timing. I talk about the amount of protein that I'm eating, where my low energy carbohydrates are coming from. So my plant food. So that is like veggies. I take out potato and stuff from that because that's a high energy carbohydrate. I talk about how many cups, and I say which vegetables that I'm eating. I'm also talking about the high energy carbohydrates that I eat and what they are. So whether it's sweet potatoes, so I just had some of that before post-workout, whether it's quinoa, whether it's brown rice, whether it's, things like that, that I kind of limit myself to those ones. I found those work best. On some natural muesli, I do have some of that as well. I talk about my supplementation. It's got all of that in there. I talk about how much sleep I'm getting. I talk about the mood that I'm in. I talk about how much energy I've got, how focused I am. I talk about all of those things. How much water, did I say that? How much water I'm drinking. So I aim for 3 litres of water a day. I put all that in and send that to him. I send him my heaviest lift on each of the workouts that I do in a summary for basically 4 weeks at a time. So we can see how am I progressing, because that's my aim, to progress. Even if it's 0.25 of a kilo each workout, that's what I aim for. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it might be 5 kilos, but that's what I aim for. So he can see all that information. I send photos when he asks for them. So right now it's about once a month I send him some photos, and I've just done all of that, and now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to just open it up and tell you the exact feedback that I've gotten. And this is what I want you to think about, that precision coaching. Keep in mind, I've given you a lot of information right now, right, as to what it is that I want. You can tell how clear I am. You can see the accountability tools that we have in place. So needless to say, I've got to be focused all the time. So here's the feedback. Hey Rob, firstly, after looking carefully at those photos you sent through on June 21st, you were looking good. Really proud of you. I can tell from those shots you are looking nice, clean, dry and hard. Good abs, no bloating, no food intolerances, nice deep cuts in your shoulders and separation in your legs. It's clear you have stuck at it all this way through. Well done. So I guess up to here, what I'll say, so obviously he's giving me a fair bit of detail there. So he's talking about, dry and hard, good abs. So some photos, what he said to me last year, he said because this is the first time that I'd ever gone through the process of, really focusing on getting that 6-pack and being in the best possible shape for a photo shoot. He said, this is going to be your worst attempt. The first time you do it is going to be your worst attempt, because he said you're going to learn things about your body that you haven't known ever before. And the food intolerances, he's talking about no food intolerances, no bloating, etc., because there were some photos that I sent through last year where he says, it looks like you're retaining a lot of water, it looks like you're bloated. So there's been the first 12 weeks, he said, what I want you to do is experiment with different foods. And so, for example, these tiny little adjustments can make a really big difference. I experimented with things like, say, broccoli, for instance. A lot of the vegetables I was eating last year, broccoli, cauliflower, and carrot. And my coach said, look, I want you to just experiment. He said, look, it might be a case of just take out carrot and see what impact that has. Take out cauliflower and see what impact that has. Take out broccoli, see what impact that has. Because you just don't know unless you try it to see what's the impact on your body. I wasn't feeling like, super bloated where, oh man, I feel really bloated. But you just don't know how things react in you. So the other thing that I did was experimented with my salad. So I was eating a lot of salads. Every day I'd have a big salad. And most of the salads I was eating comprised of like red and green cabbage. So a cabbage can leave you bloated. Now I wasn't feeling like, oh man, I feel bloated. I was feeling nice and satisfied and feeling really good. But I changed that this year and it has made a difference. I don't have the cabbage in salads at all now. I experimented with some more leafy green type of salads. They seem to work for me better. I'm also eating more vegetables. I don't have very often a salad for lunch. I will have like a cooked meal with vegetables. Keeps me fuller. I'm not eating as much cauliflower anymore. And my vegetables are just different. I'm eating a bigger variety of vegetables, and obviously the results are playing off for me. So I just wanted to stop there to give you a reason as to explain some of his comments there. So let's keep going on. So he said, the most pleasing thing to me is you're looking really close to where you want to be while still having things like having some smoothies, a bit of muesli, stuff like that. This tells me all your consistency has improved, your insulin sensitivity, you're processing carbs well, and your meal choices are really agreeing with you. So where he says about processing carbs well, there he's talking about the high energy carbohydrates. So again, if I went back 33 years when I first started my transformation, so I went from 50 kilos to, at one point I went up to close to 80 kilos. Right now I'm sitting around that, I don't know if you say 69, 70 kilos, something like that. 80 kilos was probably a little bit too heavy for me. I was carrying too much weight, too much fat, too many layers. So I wanted to have that leaner look. I used to eat about half a loaf of bread. I don't eat bread at all now. I find that does leave me a little bit bloated. I've experimented with different types of high energy carbs. So I found that white potato doesn't really sit well with me. Sweet potato, different story. I'll have that sometimes with some of my meals, a couple of times a week. So last year, most of my high energy carbs just came from brown rice. And my coach said to me, look, he said, us older guys, because he's the same sort of age as me, he said, quinoa seems to work better for us older guys in terms of processing. So I started to incorporate more of that into my body, and it feels different. I still get the same energy boost as I would from brown rice, but I don't feel that same sort of, I suppose bloated, that might be the right word. Not that I used to consciously feel bloated, but I do feel flatter in my tummy now when I have that type of food. So again, that's what he's talking about there. Let's keep going on. He said, you've achieved a really good quality in your physique without having to kill yourself or starve yourself or cut out any major food groups. So well done. With only 4.5 months to go, so I told him that there's 4.5 months to my final photo shoot, I think we put the hammer down and make a strong run to the finish line. So then he's going to tell me about my exercise program. He says, I'm loath to mess with it too much as it's clear to me it's working for you. So all you really need to do for the remainder of your program is overload a little more, and only in the exercise you really feel you can. So what he's talking about there, we've experimented quite a bit over the last 15 months as to the exercises that I can do pain-free. So because of my shoulder, I've had 3 shoulder operations. If I do really heavy flat bench press, that can overload my body. So we've experimented at 15 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees doing bench press because that will take some of the load off my body. I've found that where I work best is probably in that 15 to 30 degree range. That's where I work best, no pain. So that's what he's talking about. He says you can try adding 1 to 2 sets of partial reps with your incline bench and 2 leg presses. 2 leg presses. So when I'm using both legs, I do a single leg press as well. Only these 2 exercises for now. And then he just tells him what a partial rep is, which is basically, well, I'll read what he says. A partial rep is just the top third of the movement, never a full rep, not close to half a rep. Lockouts, the old bodybuilders call them. So you're basically coming down about 3 to 4 inches, he said. So what's that, 7.5 to 10 centimetres? That's all you're coming down and pushing back up. And so then, okay, more precise here. He says, for example, incline bench increase the weight from your working set of 57.5 kilos, which is currently my highest weight, to 65 kilos and perform 6 to 10 partial reps. Make sure you use the safety racks. And he said it's only like a 3 to 4 inch of movement, really slow and controlled on the way down. See how it goes on your shoulders. If it hurts at all, stop. But I'm hoping after a couple of workouts, you'll get the hang of it, as it really taps into your nervous system and will create a muscle soreness and thickness you may not have had before. Do the same with the 2-leg press. So right now, my maximum there is I did it today, it was 202.5 kilos. He said take it up to 240 kilos, and again, just in that top range of motion, do partials for 15 reps. Again, if it hurts, stop. Now, they hurt through my legs, as in like a good muscle hurt. When he's talking about pain, he's talking about joint pain. I got a burn through my legs like I have never felt before today. Unbelievable. All other exercises for the next 6 weeks, just see if you can go to a 6 rep, a little more load than your 8 rep max, but only if it's pain-free. I'm really liking the progression you've got going on there. So the main thing with your training is not to injure yourself. Just keep doing what you were doing and let the consistency create the improvements, and it will. So then he said about nutrition. He said, so meals 2 and 4. So I'm eating 5 times a day at the moment. So we will go up to 6 times. But again, for many years, I've been eating 6 meals a day. And if I'm perfect all the time, he says, we've got nowhere to go to change it. So we're working on 40 grams of protein a meal at the moment. We will go to 50 grams a meal later. We're on 5 meals. I do 3 hard meals, as in like whole foods, and I do 2 that are liquid meals, which is like protein powder with fruit and some muesli all mixed up together after my workouts and so forth. So he says meals 2 and 4 in your days, which are my liquid meals, look like you're having a liquid meal. Let's tweak that. Have the size of those liquid meals, but add another whole food meal to both of those meals, 2 and 4. So in meals 2 and 4, you are drinking and eating. So in other words, if you imagine a Nutribullet cup, which, gosh, I don't know how many mils that is, maybe it's 600 or 700 mils. By the time I froth it all up, it does pretty much fill the cup. So instead, I'm going to have half a meal in that, and then I'm going to eat the other half of a meal. Okay, why are we doing that? Well, when you eat food, when you're eating vegetables and you're consuming protein, you'll get a greater response in protein from the whole food that you eat, as opposed to a protein powder. But you will, with the plant-based food, you will also get a different response there because it sits in your digestive systems differently. It's got to be digested differently. It's really, really powerful. So he said, just make those, make sure the meal selections are the same as what you're eating now. For the next 4 weeks, don't vary your food choices from what you've sent me. Just make those 2 adjustments to meals 2 and 4. So very specific, right? So what are we doing? We're just making some minor adjustments to those 2 meals and making the other half of the meal based on the meals that I'm also eating right now. So it makes it really, really simple. He said, if you stay on course, try to get as much sleep as you can. He said, I think the photos in 4 to 5 weeks will really please you as everything kind of looks ready to go. Again, well done. Just let me know if you're not clear. Let's chat in a couple of weeks to see if we need to adjust anything. So you can see there, it's very, very precise coaching, isn't it? It's not like, okay, yeah, look, let's just add an extra exercise or whatever. It's very, very specific about how much weight I'm going to be doing, how many reps, increasing partial reps, telling me the exact weights I'm going to be lifting, telling me the exact nutrition that he wants me to adjust. And again, this is something that I haven't done before. Like this year, it will be different to last year. So it's all a bit of experimentation, which is really exciting because when you make these little adjustments and you see how they work through your body, and then you take some photos, you can see how you're showing up each day. It's really quite spectacular. Like this year, health and energy-wise, I have never felt better. And that is a really big call, because last year I was so focused and so energized, even during COVID. It was hard for me at that point to imagine, how can I get any better than this? But you can. The key word you mentioned in there is consistency. And a lot of people, with their feelings of, each week that I might see people, I say, oh yeah, no, I'm not feeling too flash, or, whatever. They haven't been consistent with their food. People can go off the rails on a weekend, but you've got to be consistent if you want to get the absolute most out of it. It's not about not going out and enjoying yourself, but you've got to be consistent. So, precision coaching. Now, if you want precision coaching from me, go to thementaltoughnessandbodyshow.com, opt in for that free consultation, and let's connect. Let's make 2021 your most energized, most focused, most sexy looking body that you've ever had, the best health that you've ever had. Improve your self-image, improve your self-confidence. Let's do it. See you tomorrow.